Hey everyone, John, the Drone Ranger of South Florida. I'm back. And I hope you've enjoyed all the videos that I posted on YouTube and on Facebook. I plan on doing a lot more of them. And if you probably noticed, they've been getting a little bit better. I've been actually practicing my post-editing stuff. So the post-production I've been learning more about and adding in a little bit more each time and a little better background music. And this video is going to be no different. I'm going to try to do the same thing to make it a little more entertaining, a little more engaging. Most of the other videos are fairly engaging, they're kind of fun to watch. But as far as informative, they haven't been. Now the commentaries I try to be as informative as possible, and I try to be a little bit funny. Well, I'm probably not very good at that. And if anything, I might have put you to sleep. Who knows? Anyway, so why don't we start with drones. Hey, that's a novel idea for the Drone Ranger. Let's talk about drones. All right, well, let's do this. Now here, you're going to see, I'm going to scoot out of the way, and you are going to see all my drones. These are my tools. And we're going to go from this end to that end, and I'm going to give a short, brief description of what each one does, what kind of camera it has, battery life, yada yada yada. Most of you probably know this already out there. There are a few of you that probably don't. If you're new to this, you probably don't. So let's just get right into it. Well, first one we have. This is a Hover Drone Passport. Now this is my very first drone I've had for, 4 years. And this thing here is one of the first drones that came out to follow people. Now, this has only got a battery life maybe of 5 to 7 minutes, if you're lucky. Good luck getting the batteries for this. I think I've said this in a prior video, because these batteries are near to impossible to get. So, first one to follow you around, and I think it has a range of about 60 feet. And they say that the flight time is like 10 to 15 minutes. It's more like 7 to 8, to tell you the truth. But anyway, so this is what got me started with all this crap. Not going to say it's crap. It's fun, but it got me started in everything. So, second, this is something that you beginners, if you're thinking about purchasing drones, these are the first two drones you ought to think about. One reason is they're very easy to work with, and second, they're fairly inexpensive. So if you happen to crash one, well, you haven't lost maybe about $200-300. Now, just for your info, I know that DJI has Care Refresh, which is fine, but in addition to the payment of the Care Refresh that you pay for, you also have to make a copay when you get a damage or you want to replace your drone. It kind of sucks, okay? It's like $100-150 copay after you pay $200 for the Care Refresh. Me, in my opinion, I use State Farm, which has no deductible. I have all these drones covered for about $120 a year. That's right, $120 a year, and I don't have to pay any co-pays. If I crash, lose, or one gets stolen, they just cut you a check. They don't send you another drone like Care Refresh does, but you get a cut a check. So always, when you go with State Farm or other insurance companies to insure your drones, make sure that you insure them for a few bucks more than they're actually that you paid for them. Say if it's $200, insure it for $250. So any accessories or anything like that that you bought with it will be also covered. Just food for thought. Okay, so as you've probably seen before, I'm going to go through these real quick. This is the Mavic Mini, 249 grams. Don't need to be registered with the FAA. You don't need a Part 107 to fly this thing. Very small, 2.7K camera, battery life about 25 minutes on average. Takes decent shots. Nice little starter drone. Second one we have here is going to be a very popular one. This is the DJI Mini SE, which is the next step up from that one. 2.7 camera, 30-minute flight time. Again, 249 grams. Again, don't have to register with the FAA. Great starter drone, about 300 bucks for the little kit. Not bad at all. The last one was about 250. This one's a little bit of an upgrade because it has brushless motors and better maneuverability, and it's a newer one, it has better software. So, that's it on that. As you notice, I have several controllers. This is the controller that comes with the Mavic Mini and the Mini SE. They are enhanced Wi-Fi, so their range is not the greatest in the world. You get them maybe about 3-4 blocks, quarter mile on a good day if you don't have a lot of air traffic. Otherwise, you start kind of losing signal, it gets a little choppy, and sometimes the signal will drop out and it'll end up returning to home. If you have a destination you want to get to about a quarter mile or more away, it's probably not going to make it there. Wind resistance on both is pretty good. They really resist wind pretty well. Okay, next one. DJI Mini 2. This one is an upgrade from the SE. This one here, 4K camera. Average flight time, about 30 minutes. Nice little drone. Takes really good pictures. This one takes this controller, which is an OcuSync 2 or OcuSync 3, which is a little bit better range than the enhanced Wi-Fi. So you get a good probably mile and a half on a mediocre day, maybe even more, depending on what your conditions are, weather conditions, air traffic conditions, things like that. This one probably around a little kit, probably about 4.5, 500. Not bad little drone. When you start using these drones, you're going to want something with a 4K camera. I guarantee it. They're addicting. Look at me. I started out with this little thing right here, and that was like 4 years ago, and all of a sudden in the last few months, 6-7 months, this is what I've got. Anyway, okay, next up, the DJI Mavic Air 2S. This is my workhorse. 4K 5.1 1080p camera. Cool drone. I've had this when my first major drone. It is a photographer and videographer's dream. It does all kinds of things. Fantastic. You've seen some of my hyperlapses. This is the one I did. Most of my zoom, there's a 4K, 4x zoom. Any video that you've seen with me using a zoom, this is the one I've used it on. So you will enjoy this a lot if you decide to go with it. Now, they usually go for about $1,800 to $2,100, but now I have seen them for around $1,400, and some places on special have them for like less than $1,000. So this is something that you might want to kind of look into. Battery life is probably about 35 minutes on a good day, about 30 to 35 minutes. It is heavier. You do need to register it with FAA. You don't have to be 107 to use it recreationally, but you do have to register with the FAA. The other ones you do not. Okay, now this is going to be my, here, before I get to that, this one uses this OcuSync 2 or 3 controller as well. It also uses the DJI RC Pro, which is an OcuSync 3. Bit more pricey. You're talking about $1,000 for this controller on average, but it has its own view screen, so you don't need to attach a tablet or a phone to it. Okay, so put this back here. And a lot of you may be familiar with this. This is my newest acquisition. I got it last day or so. The DJI Mavic 3. Whoa, I like this one. OcuSync 3 takes either one of these two controllers, works on it. So it's kind of versatile in that way. As you can see, 2 cameras, one zoom, one regular. Has so far that I've seen is 1080, 4K, and 5.1K. Zoom is 0 to 28 times zoom, which I'll show you a clip of hovering above my house at the grocery store parking lot, and how far to zoom in just standing in one spot. The more you zoom in, the little bit grainier that everything gets. But you know what? You can still distinguish people and everything. So it's actually a fantastic zoom lens on this thing. It has all kinds of sensors all the way around it. Here, here, here. So it's got, obstacle avoidance, just like the Air 2S. Air 2S has it also, just front and back and sides. This one's got all over the place. This little bugger cost over $2,000. That's just the basic stuff with a one battery and controller. You're not going to get much more of that unless you spend about $25,000 to $28,000. The Mavic 3 Scene is $5,000, and it has the RC Pro with it, and it's got a few batteries and a bunch of other accessories. So if you're rich, go ahead and get that one. If you're like me, you get this and just probably add to it as you go along. Anyway, this is going to be my new workhorse. Like I said, I have only had it maybe a day and a half. I've flown it a couple of times. I flew it about maybe a mile from my house. Now, I live in South Florida, so it's flat. So, I flew it about maybe 300 feet, flew it to a friend's house, about a mile, maybe a little mile and a quarter away, and it did fine. Didn't lose any signal strength or anything like that. Now, for those of you who are drone police, as far as visual line of sight from that far away, well, okay, I'm in Florida, flat land, and if that's not good enough, then that's just basically, I'm just going to say, who cares what you think? Mind your own business. Anyway, Mavic 3. Okay. You'll see more of the videos on these, especially the Mavic 3. So, that's my fleet for now. I'm working on the DJI M30. That bugger is $15,000. My GoFundMe page, which is listed here on YouTube, hasn't been getting most of the response I'd like. It's been kind of slow. For those of you who have contributed, my sister Gina and her husband Chris, thank you very much. My neighbor Bear, thank you very much for that, yours. My wife's friend Rachel just recently contributed. Thank you very much, Rachel. I appreciate it. And Carlos. Not going to mention last names on people. And anybody else who decides to contribute, a hearty thank you very much. Like this story says, I lost a lot of the earmarked money for this drone business from my wife's illness last year. So it was just kind of ate away our savings, which, like I said in another video, if you ever had someone who fell ill, you know how fast that stuff piles up and eats your money away. So anyway, I am going to pretty much kind of sign off for this segment. I may jump back in, I may not, I don't know. I'm going to put a couple of clips in here, and maybe I'll make a comment on them. Just depends. Right now I have fun doing this kind of stuff, so I might just jump in and ham it up a bit. Who knows? But if I don't, this is John the Drone Ranger of South Florida, signing off.